Hello students, today I am going to start chapter number 11 of history, the Gupta and the post-Gupta period. Let's start. In this chapter we will learn about the 4th century and the detail of this Gupta period and the post-Gupta period. So the Gupta period started from till 320 CE to 525 CE. The 4th century CE brought a new dynasty to power. This was the Gupta dynasty. They ruled the North India for almost 200 years. And do you know this rule is popularly known as the Golden Age of India. And it was marked by extensive inventions and discoveries in science and technology, engineering, art, literature, logic, mathematics, astronomy, religion and philosophy and many more. So this Gupta period produced scholars such as Kalidas, Aryabhat, Vishnu Sharma, Vatsan and many more who made great advancement in various academic fields. A strong trade lines also made the kingdom and the important cultural and economic center. So let's recall about the sources. How we know. The main sources of information that tell us about the Gupta period are books, coins, monuments and inscriptions. With this we all just know about. Next here, the Chandragupta one. The Chandragupta one first was the first powerful Gupta ruler. And he married to Kumra Devi, a Lachvi princess. He adopted an imperial title of Maharaja Dhiraj, of the King of Kings. You can say Maharaja Dhiraj as a King of Kings. And due to his marital alliance, he received Patliputra, the capital city of Magad, as a dowry. Next is Samudragupta. His time period is from 335 to 380 CE. He was considered as the most famous ruler of the Gupta dynasty. He led an expedition to the western India where he overcame the last of the Sakas. He performed Ashwamedh Yajna to establish his supreme power. Next, here the Samudragupta's achievements. The rulers of Aryabhat in the north, there were 9 rulers who were uprooted and their kingdoms were made a part of Samudragupta's empire. The rulers of Dakshinapथ in the south and Deccan, there were 12 rulers and who defeated, but they were allowed to rule under his over leadership. Next is Ganga Sanghas. These kingdoms brought tributes, followed his orders and attended his court. Outside India, the Kushang and Saka rulers who were ruling in Afghanistan. So here you can see 2 coins. These are the coins. These are the Samudragupta's coins depicting Ashwamedh Yajna. Here you can see Ashwamedh Yajna depicting on this. You can say here, you can see a diagram of a horse over here. And you all know the Ashwa means horse. Next is Prashasti. Prashasti in short you can say as it is a Sanskriti word which means in praise of. So a Sanskrit composition by Harisena, Samudragupta's court poet, is inscribed on the Ashokan pillar at Prayagraj. This type of inscription is known as Prashasti. Next is Chandragupta II. His time period is from 380 CE to 412 CE. The Gupta Empire reached the heights of glory under the rule of Chandragupta II. The Mathura pillar inscription informs the Chandragupta II ascended the throne in 375 CE, ruled over 40 years. It was during his time that the Chinese pilgrim Fahian came to India. Here also you can see the 2 coins. These coins are the showing time period of Chandragupta II. So next, later Gupta rulers. Who were they? So as government became weaker, invaders from the north Primarily, the Huns were able to weaken and ultimately destroy the empire. So next, because of the administration, you can say the head of the administration was the king. A council of ministers assisted him. The empire was divided into provinces and bhuktis. Princes were often appointed as the governors of provinces. The provinces were further divided into districts and peshas. The ayuktas administered the districts. The village was the lowest administrative unit. It was looked after by the elders of the village. Next, here came the revenue. Agriculture was main occupation of the people at that time, and much of the revenue came from the land only. There were numerous revenue officers to collect the revenue. The money of whatever they are collected was used to ensure good administration, give grants and donation, and maintain the army. Below you can see a map. This is the extent of Gupta Empire. In this map, it is showing that with the green color, the empire of Chandragupta part 1, then the added by Samudragupta with the you can see with the mud color, and next is added by Chandragupta part 2, that is almost of light green. So this is the extent of Gupta Empire. Next, here came the army. Many kings maintained a well-organized army with elephants, chariots, cavalry, and foot soldiers to face the enemy's attack. Here the next is the post-Gupta period. After the Gupta rulers, Indian subcontinent divided into numerous independent states. There were 3 rulers that rose to power: Harshvardhan of Kannauj, and the Chalukyas of Vatapi, and the Pallavas of Kanchipuram. So next, first we have to start with Harshvardhana. His time, here you can see the Harshvardhan brought together the independent states of North India, and his time period was from 606 CE to 647 CE. So here he gradually shifted his capital to Kannauj. He wrote 3 plays in Sanskrit: Ratnavali, Priyadarshika, and Nagananda. He also gave money to the University of Nalanda. Huan Tseng spent many years studying Buddhist texts at Nalanda University. The library of university was spread over 3 buildings. Very huge library was there. The sources: Harshcharita, the biography of the king written in Sanskrit by his court poet Banabhat. The book lists the military and cultural achievement of Harsha. The accounts of Yuan Tisong. He spent 8 years in the court of Harsha. He has written in detail about the developments during these years, whatever the developments had happened here. And next is Harsha's military campings. So military campings were carried out to control the empire in better manner. And Harshvardhana conquered Punjab, Eastern Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Bengal, and Odisha. Harsha had a huge army with 60,000 war elephants and 10,000 cavalrymen. Here the map is showing about the Harsha's empire. In this you all can see the kingdom of Kannauj with the dark red, you can say the cherry color. The kingdom here it is showing like that in the green, and different color is showing different dynasty. The Chalukya dynasty, the Pallava dynasty with the blue color. Next is the Chalukyas. In the Deccan, the Satavahanas ruled for long time, but after them many small kingdoms came to power. First one here you can see the Pulkishan first established the Chalukya dynasty in 543 CE. Vatapi was his capital. And next is Pulkishan II. He was the greatest Chalukyan ruler. His capital, Aihole, became an important trading and religious center with a number of temples. Sources: We get a lot of information about Pulkishin too through the Prashasti written by his court poet Ravikirti. Here you can see an image of Aihole temple, and this one is the Prashasti. This Pulkishan's Prashasti, it was inscribed on a wall of a Jain temple at Aihole in this temple. Next, the Pallavas. The Pallavas were another important dynasty in the South India during this time. The kingdom of Pallavas spread from the region around the capital Kanchipuram to Kaveri Delta. Conflict between Chalukyas and the Pallavas. Both the Pallavas and the Chalukyas frequently used to raid one another's prosperous town to become more powerful. At the end of Chalukyas you can say they were defeated by the Rashtrakutas and the Pallavas by the Cholas respectively. So next, administration. How was the administration? A sabha was an assembly of Brahmins found in the villages having only Brahman landowners. And was a village assembly which comprised landowners from all the sections of the society. In Chalukyan kingdom, the village elders called Mahajanas were the administrators. These all were the administrators. People in the kingdoms. Kalidas was known for his plays depicting the life in the king's court. His most famous play was Abhigyan Shakuntalam. This was written by Kalidas. The Chinese pilgrims mentioned some people who were treated badly by the ruling classes. Elsewhere at the same time, around the 6th century CE, Prophet Muhammad introduced a new religion, Islam, in Arabia. Within 100 years, Islam spread to North Africa, Spain, Iran, and India. Hope you all have understood the chapter. Thank you.